Diana?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, could you say one or two words so we can find out if we can hear you?
Okay. Well, I'd say the year of the fire horses started off with a gallop.
Okay, so Angela is going to lead us in the prayers right now. And here's the idea. She'll lead us in the prayers. Astrid is going to lead us in the song and the RT. And then we would like to hear a few wonderful words from you in Australia.
Okay, that'll be easy. That's easy.
Okay.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. So everybody's standing now.
Right?
I'm going to say,
And,
put my stick.
all right, so we're going to start.
Oh,
And protect.
you are without the yellow
Okay,
and without any.
let's do it again.
Oh, Almighty God, the preserver and protector of all, you are without beginning and without end, non-dual, beyond comparison, and none can measure you. You are without color, without expression, without form, and without attributes. You are unlimited and unfathomable, beyond imagination and conception, eternal and imperishable. You are invisible and none can see you but with eyes divine. You always were, you always are, and you always will be. You are everywhere, you are in everything, and you are also beyond everywhere and beyond everything. You are in the firmament and in the depths. You are manifest and unmanifest, on all planes and beyond all planes. You are in the three worlds and also beyond the three worlds. You are imperceptible and independent. You are the Creator, the Lord of lords, the knower of all minds and hearts. You are omnipotent and omnipresent. Your knowledge is infinite, power infinite, and bliss infinite. You are the ocean of knowledge, all-knowing, infinitely knowing, the knower of the past, the present, and the future, and your knowledge is self. You are all merciful and eternally benevolent. You are the soul of souls, the one with infinite attributes. You are the Trinity of truth, knowledge, and bliss. You are the source of truth, the ocean of love. You are the ancient one, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parameshwar. You are beyond God and beyond God also. You are Parabrahma, Allah, Elahi, Yesdan, Guru Master, and God the Beloved. Your name is God, the only one worthy of worship. We repent, O God, most merciful, for all our sins, for every thought that was false or unjust or unclean, for every word spoken that ought not to have been spoken, for every deed done that ought not to have been done. We repent for every deed and word and thought inspired by selfishness, and for every deed and word and thought inspired by hatred. We repent most especially for every lustful thought and every lustful action, for every lie, for all hypocrisy, for every promise given but not fulfilled, and for all slander and backbiting. Most especially also, we repent for every action that has brought ruin to others, for every word and deed that has given others pain, and for every wish that pain should befall others. In your unbounded mercy, I ask you to forgive us, O God. Avatar Merhaba ki Jai. Avatar Merhaba ki Jai. Avatar Merhaba ki Jai. O glorious eternal ancient one, your face is a bright transcendental sun. Lighten this dark world and the tears I weep. My heart may I give to you to keep. Creator, yet creationless you are. Truth and truth's body, divine avatar. Through compassion, the three worlds maintains. Destroy this ignorance that life sustains. These five lights of the worldly source of breath, of the world's wheel that bears me unto death. Unless you who are infinitely divine, break the wheels of which is completion mine. Since is my love, these roots my heart, which to please you I have shaped from my heart. Accept them as you would a simple flower, that has no use beyond this shining hour. You are myself, I sing to you in praise, and beg your love to bear me through the days, till you, the ever-living perfect one, illumine my darkness with your shining sun.
Avatar
Merhaba ki Jai. Avatar Merhaba ki Jai. Avatar Merhaba ki Jai.
And one more time, make 7. Avatar Merhaba ki Jai. That makes 7.
Y'all sit now.
All y'all sit.
Okay, David, can you hear me?
Yeah, we must have lost you, but I'm going to put you on the mic to say a few words to about 33 people.
Okay, shall I try to get the picture on and see, or not?
No.
Not important. Okay, we'll stick with what we've got. Okay, so Jai Baba. Now, I'm just going to say one thing, because I know Ann's going to be talking, and I don't want to take up much time, but this is just one little story of what's going on here. Back in 2017, when we were in Cove 2, when Bill and I were at Myrtle Beach, Vito Kilnani came over for a cup of tea, and Bill invited him to come to Avatar's boat. And I know he tried to come with a group of you, but it didn't work because COVID was coming, okay? Okay, so time goes by. Then last year I got an email from Vito saying he'd like to come to Avatar's abode. And so in September he did come, and it was lovely to have him here. He was a wonderful guest, and he talked me into the idea that I really should go to Baba at Merrimack. And so I've got my tickets. I'm going to be there during the month of October, leaving night of September. So if any of you guys are there, I'd love to see you. And I don't know, maybe this will be the start of a new thing, and maybe I'll be able to make it to Myrtle Beach too eventually. Anyway, that's my little news. Jay, Bob, and Matt.
And we'll end it, Diana, by saying that everybody here says, y'all come down to the Myrtle.
Okay, I got it.
Come on. Nobody said
So
that.
much, David.
Jai Baba, we'll talk again.
Come back.
Yeah.
Jai Baba. Before Cathy begins, there was a lady named Maya Andrews. I don't know how many of you people knew her. She lived in the community quite a while. and she just passed away this afternoon. So in respect to that, if we could just have a minute of silence, and then Cathy will begin the program. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Cathy? I'll bring you the talk to you.
So I'd like, would you like me to read the Mara
Yes.
first? Okay, so this is a wonderful quote from Mara. And Mara sent this December of 1988 in a Christmas card to Kitty and all at the Mayor Center and surrounding areas. Always keep beloved Avatar Meher Baba in your hearts and in your thoughts. Remember, it is not the speed with which you obtain your objectives in life that counts, but the time you spare and want to share with your beloved that really matters. So with every step you take in life, remember and try to please beloved Baba, and know that he is with you, helping and guiding you on your journey home to himself, who is the source of all goodness and light. Your Marisad families, and much love to you in God, Baba's precious love, Mara.
Jai Baba.
So I'd like to sing two songs. One is the Dutch birthday song. So every time Maya would have Tom's first wife's sister, Maya, would have a birthday, we would sing this Dutch song. And so because she's being reborn in a new form sometime soon now, and I just feel her freedom. This is the Dutch birthday song. Her dad was Dutch, her mom was Hungarian. And long shall she live in glory is the translation. And so I'm singing this for Maya tonight. Lang zal sie leven, lang zal sie leven, lang zal sie leven in den gloria, in den gloria, in den gloria. Hip hip hurrah, hip hip hurrah, hip hip hurrah. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, in das Gloria, in das Gloria, in das Gloria. Hip hip hurrah, Maya, Maya. And since, you know, Maya and Yvonne did a lot of organizing the Baba programs, and, you know, Cindy Lowe was there in the late 60s. I was thinking a song that Maya might have loved that she heard Cindy sing, maybe at Winchell's at some of those Baba meetings. Sing along, please. On the river of my tears, through the forest of my fear, in the valley of my shadows and my sorrows, only one thing has been clear in this darkness of my years, that wherever you take me, I'll follow. I love you now Oh, the walls have seemed so high, and the distance is so high, that the strangers in my heart all disappear. Make me free to be with you in the way you want me to. Take my heart, take my life, take my tears. I love you now. I will hold you somehow. Even though you break my heart again. Your love goes on. My world has come and gone. I will love you. I will love you. I will love you. I will love you now till the end.
Hey, Bob.
Hey,
Who wrote that song?
thank you, Kathy.
Cindy Lowe.
It's open.
Yeah, when she sits down,
You gotta go around. She moved the chair.
I move the chair.
Except for me, the timber rocks above her. Hello? Hello?
That good?
Y'all hear me in the back?
Yes.
Stacy, can you hear her?
Hi.
You're on.
I'll take introduction, David.
Ann. I'd like to say one other thing about Ann. Well, I could say a few, but one. She met Mayor Baba in 1952.
Well, I'm thinking about this talk tonight. I tried to think of things that I haven't talked about before because I think most of you have heard my story, and you could probably tell it better than I can at this point. So I'll just go over a little bit of the background of my parents for those of you who haven't heard me talk before. When Bobby came to the West the first time, and he came in 1931 to England, and there was a retreat center in the village of Coombe Martin. I don't know if anybody's been over there. Has anybody been over to that retreat center in this room? No. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I got to go there in 1999 with my daughter, and then I understood why my father always talked about England and how beautiful it was, and how thatch roof houses and the fields. And I remember as a child hearing him talk like that, and I wanted to go to England so bad. I climbed up a very tall tree and I swung back and forth as far as I can on the little skinny branches, screaming, "I want to go to England, I want to go to England." So it wasn't until 1999 that I got there, but I appreciated it when I did. So my father was at the retreat center when Baba came to England and stayed there for the whole time that Baba was there in 1931. And then Baba came back in 32. He was there in 32 also. And Baba went from England to America. I think he went to a couple other places first. And in 1931, and my mother was at the retreat center in Harmon on the Hudson. And she got to stay with Baba for the whole time he was there. I think he was there for 3 whole weeks, and then he spent 1 week in New York City. So they both got to meet Baba on the same trip. And then later on, my father came to America a couple of times, but apparently they met in 1933. And they had one of those kind of instant soul recognition. So I like to read some of my mother's poems. So I'm going to read you one that she wrote when she first met my father. This is called Transmutation for Kenneth Roth. Pure as the crescent moon upon the sky, silvery light against translucent blue. Thus would I have the love you send to me, and thus the love that I return to you. Like downy seeds that ride upon the wind, filled with the promise of new life to be. Thus shall my thoughts go speeding forth to you, so shall your thoughts return to me. Oh, may this love that fills your heart and mine, each for the other, lift us to that height where we shall see our Master face to face and win at last our heritage of light. So it took them from 33 to 37 till they actually got married. They both wanted to go to England and be a part of the ashram in India. I don't mean England, India. They both had asked Baba separately if they could go to India and live with him, but he turned them both down, and obviously he had plans for them to get together and bring my 2 sisters and myself into the world, so we'd be here for his manifestation period, which we're in right now. And my mother was a city girl. Her mother did very well for a while. She had enough money to send her to boarding schools, very fancy boarding schools, and where she said the waiters wore white gloves and they had to speak French at the table, if you can imagine. So I don't know how my father did this, but I guess it was love, must have been love. But he talked her into going. He always wanted to have a little organic farm, because in England you couldn't own property unless you were wealthy. So they found a place in New Jersey, in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, if you're familiar with that. It's a big area with a lot of scruffy pines, and apparently the first English people that went there to colonize it found it was no good for growing crops. It was sandy and clay. But he managed to turn that around, and he used to brag about his 1.5 foot of topsoil that he created compost heaps and made topsoil. Anyway, he talked my mother into going down there to buy that piece of land that had nothing but a cabin and a hand pump outside. So I think that part of her agenda was that she always wanted to be back in an ashram like Harmon was. And she would write letters to Baba, and I found these letters in the archive. Let's see, this is from January 1938. They actually got married in June of 1937. And she says to Baba, ever since staying at Mayor Ashram in Harmon, New York, I've hoped to be able to help establish and conduct at least one such retreat in America. I wonder if you are still interested in establishing and maintaining retreats in this country. My dearest dream is to cooperate in such work. And then she wrote another letter in August of 1939. By this time she had two babies. My sister would have been about a year and maybe a year and a half, and I would have been 4 months old. She says, it is our honest, sincere desire that our place here will be built up into a retreat. And if you should ever wish to use this place, we should feel honored to serve you. And if we can serve you better by going to India, please be assured we would make every effort to do so. We only wish to be of service to you. I don't know how she could think that she could be of service to Baba with 2 little babies to take care of, but that was her dream. I got a kick out of that. Can't imagine how she would have done that. And then another letter in 1941, there had been an article in the journal that was printed that came from India, the original journal that had the discourses. They would put one discourse a month in there. And he said, we are very much interested in the suggestions for lines of work for the Mayo Spiritual Center as outlined in a journal of, I think, October 1940. Our plan in getting this place was to establish on a retreat for Baba's work, should he so desire to use it, and us. May we have permission to start the spiritual center for you. But the problem was that while they were having this dream, and he went along with it too, because he had to do the grunt work to get the place going, they didn't have much money. She had a trust fund of $50 a month. This is what they were living on. So he's building little by little, trying to build a house that they could live in. And then they were planning to have, a meeting place and places, cabins and things like that. But it never got off the ground. But he did continue to have this little organic garden, and about 5 acres. They had 5 acres of land. Probably 2 acres of that was the farm. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what it was like to grow up knowing about Baba and how isolated we were back in those days in going down the Pine Gardens, which was about 150 miles from New York City. And there were no other people, I think, between them and New York that even knew about Baba. They did get, once the Shaw family came down to visit when we were babies. We have pictures of that. And I think John Bass came down to visit, but they were pretty isolated. And we had, in the early days, there was no music, there were no pictures. We had 2 pictures, I remember. And the first book that came out, I think, was Purdam's book, The Perfect Master, and maybe The Wayfarers, and the journal would come from, that had the discourses in it one at a time. So there wasn't anybody much to talk to about Baba or, other people around that they could do things with. And I know they both like to talk about Baba and their experiences, but they both, apparently my mother was writing lots of letters to Baba, which I didn't realize until years later when somebody told me about them in the archives, and I'm so grateful to have them now. And my father would write lots of letters all over the place. He was always typing. I could hear him typing, 2-finger typing, because my bed was just close to the little room where he would sit up at night typing. So I mentioned that he wanted to create this organic farm, and he didn't have anybody to help. He was doing all the work himself. And then when my sister and I got older, we were like the farm hands. We got to do all the the work that if he had, well, he always wanted sons. You know, the first one he wanted a boy, the second one he wanted a boy, and the third one he gave up, I guess, because 3 girls, no boys. So we had to do what normally boys would do, you know, helping him on the farm. And I remember a couple of things that very boring, very boring. I became a daydreamer because I hated this repetitious work. That we'd have to take pails of soil from the compost heaps. They had huge compost heaps, and we had the tomato plants would be planted by then, and they'd be growing. So we'd have to take buckets of as much as we could carry. You know, they were like big heavy buckets, just small, whatever we could manage. And you'd have to take it and sprinkle that topsoil around each plant, right? Each individual plant up and down the road. But we had the best tomatoes I've ever had in my life. They were so good. I think I've never had tomatoes except maybe in Italy. Italy's tomatoes were pretty much tasted like ours. But we would also make tomato juice in the heat of the summer in August with a wood stove. They'd have to heat up the pressure cooker, so it might blow up at any minute. But we had tomato juice that lasted all year long. It was really good. I remember that also he would grow rye crops on as a cover crop in the wintertime. And the way he would stack them up the way they did, he spent some time up in Saskatchewan, Canada, and learned how to create these stooks, they called them. And you'd see them all out in the field there. It was quite picturesque. As he would work with us, we would all be out there in the garden. He liked to talk. I remember he could quote Shakespeare by the yard. He would always be talking to us about something, or teaching us, I guess it was more. He would have made a great professor. So I remember that he would always be able to answer questions, you know, the kind of questions that kids come up with. And he would say to us that he had files up here, and I picture, you know, full drawer file cabinets, and I was like, how could you fit files up in your head like that? But he would always have the answer. He'd say, I'll think about that, I'll check my files and get back there and have the answer. And he would tell us a little bit about Baba's teachings. You know, we learned about reincarnation and you know, the basic Baba teaching. He didn't talk a lot about his experiences at the retreat center. Mother would talk about it a lot and write her beautiful poetry. And she still was very close. It still is very close with her experience there, and stayed with her all her life. But at that time, she still had dreams about having an ashram. And I remember that he did say that one time he was walking around the hills around Shalakum at the retreat center there, and it's really hilly. It's like it drops off to the ocean, like very much like the Big Sur in California. He said that he fell, and he heard a snap, like something broke or something pulled or something. And Baba came over. They were all walking around. They used to take walks from the farmhouse. And Baba gave him his hand and helped him get up, and it was no problem. Whatever it was totally healed. And I remember thinking, wow, that's pretty incredible. But we accepted it, you know, whatever happened, happened. One thing about him also was that he had this, I would say, I don't know, almost an obsession to get rid of his ego. He felt like his ego was too extreme, or that he needed to work on it, and he would take very menial jobs. Not the kind of thing that he was so intelligent, he was very smart person would normally take, and he felt that was his way of I guess trying to get rid of his ego. And I remember as a child thinking, why can't he go out and wear a suit and tie and go out and work like other people's fathers do, and that we could live a little at a little higher level than we were. But that was his way all his life, and Baba must have seen into his heart. And I found out many years later, in fact just a few years ago, that his name is on the memorial tower in India. That really, I was so touched by that Baba would put his name on there. But he died in 1954. One of the things that, as children, my sister and I were really excited that in 1949, Baba asked all his followers to either keep silence for a month, or there was a couple of other things they could do. And I don't know how many of you know of a woman named Kim Tallhurst, who was one of the early English group. She was living in New York at this time, and she was an opera singer. And she decided she wanted to keep silence for the month, and that she could come down and stay with us. And my father had built a garage quite a ways away from the house. The car never went in the garage, of course, but so he fixed it up for a place for Kim to stay for the month, and we were so excited to have this English lady come down and stay with us, opera singing. Although she didn't speak for the month, she didn't sing or anything. I remember she played the piano, but because she came from the city, and this is the country, which city people sometimes are a little bit scared of the country sounds, the frogs and the owls and whatever else. So because the garage was so far from the house, she would have either my sister and I stay overnight with her in the garage. I remember we really enjoyed doing that. It's something very special for us little country girls to have this lady from New York to come and stay with us. I think it's time to read another one of Mother's poems. This is one that she wrote when she was at Harmon. I think it might have been shortly after she met Baba. She actually continued to write poems even in the 90s. I have a couple of poems that she wrote. This one's called Thy Beauty, Lord, is like 1,000 blossoms. Thy beauty, Lord, is like 1,000 blossoms that lift their fragrant petals to the night, and all the myriad jewels of the stars are pale beside the radiance of thy light. Thy purity is like a crystal lake, reflecting on its surface, calm and still, a crescent moon, and all thy true perfection. The lonely deserts of my heart does fill. Let me kneel in rapture now before thee and gaze forever on thy radiant face, eternally enchanted by thy beauty, uplifted and enlightened by thy grace. For in thy presence there is joy forever, and from earthly fetters sweet release. Let me kneel in spirit now before thee, and lightly touch thy shining robe of peace. So from time to time, I remember as a child, I would go through this period of trying to be spiritual, I guess you might say, trying to be good. So I remember I had this little, very small little thing about this big, with the 7 realities of Mayor Baba. And I remember actually memorizing all of them quite a young age, and not knowing what most of the words meant. I don't know if you're all familiar with the 7 realities, but the first one is, the only real existence is that of the one and only God, who is the self in every finite self. I don't think I knew what the word finite meant, but I memorized it anyway. And then the only real love is the love for this infinity, God, which arouses an intense longing to see, know, and become one with its truth. And then we have sacrifice, renunciation. I don't think I knew what that meant either. And the only real knowledge, which is a very long one. And I remember the part about the only real knowledge that God is the inner dweller in good people and so-called bad, and saint and so-called sinner. This knowledge requires you to help all equally as circumstances demand without expectation of reward. And when compelled to take part in a dispute, to act without the slightest trace of enmity or hatred, to try to make others happy with brotherly or sisterly feeling for each one, to harm no one in thought, word, or deed, not even those who harm you. And I memorized them all, but I don't think I really knew what they meant. And the last 2 is the only real control and only real surrender. And I remember those periods didn't last really long. I think it only lasted a few days, but I still memorized them. I remember going to sleep and trying to, it's a great way to try to put yourself to sleep when you can't sleep, is memorizing something like this, or reading Francis Brabazon. I find that works too, because I don't understand half of it. But I memorized it for a long time, but I didn't retain that urge to try to be spiritual. That didn't last very long. I remember that. It was so funny. But years later, when I was telling Kitty Davy about memorizing those, she said, well, the thing to do is you just take one and you work on one at a time. So you get that, you feel like you have maybe gone somewhere with that, instead of trying to swallow them all 7 at one time. But anyway, that's my part of being spiritual. So so they continued to have this little farm, and later on we had chickens, and then we had goats. And then in 1952, Bob announced that he was coming to America. Of course, my parents hadn't seen him since the 30s. They both saw him, I think Daddy saw him again in 1934, but Mother didn't. And we were going to go and see him in New York, because they had an old car, not much money, and that was the only way they could manage. He was going to see people in New York after he came back from California. He was going to the center first, and then to California, and then back to New York. And we had an appointment in July to see him. So I remember that my sister and I, we were both, she was a year older than me. We were 13 and 14 at the time. And I think because we had known about Baba since we were quite little, growing up with Baba, and we kind of took it for granted. We didn't really realize what a special thing that was to see Baba, although we were excited about it. But then, of course, Baba had the accident, and it was touch and go. I remember hearing them discussing it and whether we would, how upset they were about the accident, first of all, and then whether we would actually get to see him, whether he would keep his appointments or not. So apparently the doctor didn't want him to, but he decided he would go through with the appointment. But I had always thought, because of hearing about my mother and how ecstatic and happy she was to be with Bob, I always thought that I would have that kind of experience when I met Bob. I was expecting that, that I'd be like this out and flying high. But our experience wasn't like that for me anyway. Because first of all, Baba was still in a lot of pain, and I remember feeling that pain. That seemed to be the overriding feeling I had. Other people who saw him at the same time would feel a tremendous love coming from him. And also because my father was a very stern British man, he didn't show his feelings, never showed his feelings, that he burst out in racking sobs when he saw when Baba, still with his leg and arm in a cast. And also, I don't know what was going on internally in him. He probably had a lot built up since he had last seen Baba. So my overriding feeling at that meeting was not feeling uplifted or anything, but I don't know what was going on internally. Apparently a lot of Baba would work on you internally, and he would a lot of times have people focus on something else while he was working on them, and I was focused on my father, I was so shocked to see him in that way. So none of us at the time knew that 2 years later my father would pass away, and that our family would be all over the place, and it would take a while to get us all back together again. But then Baba came back again in 1956, and by this time my mother was starting her life over again. She had to go out to get a job and go out to the world again after being on a farm for 17 years. And she actually borrowed $50 to take my sister and me to go and see Baba in New York at the dinner that they had at Longchamp's restaurant. And another, what happened also was my younger sister, I think she was, maybe 11 at the time. For some reason, my mother had invited her to come, and she didn't want to come. She was upset about something. I don't know what it had to do with, but I had thought she was at camp, but that wasn't the case. And she told me later that that she was walking to my aunt's house because she was going to stay with my aunt while we were away for the weekend, that she suddenly had this experience of Baba being with her, and very much, very real and very, very exciting for her. And I remember reading that Baba sometimes, when people did go on Sahaba to see him, that he would tell them that he was watching over their families at home. So she felt like she had her visit with Baba, even though she didn't go with us on the trip. But this time it was so different from the first time. This time when you walked in that room, it was, you could feel the love in that room. It was like, he was just in a very wonderful mood, and he was, I had recovered from the accident, was walking around the tables, and he seemed in a very loving mood, and he did walk around all the tables and greet everybody. And then at the end, the tables that he missed, people would go up and meet him personally. He wanted to have a personal meeting with everyone. And for years he didn't come to our table. For years I didn't think that we had our personal meeting with him. And then years, just a few years back, somebody found a picture for me online. David Fensler has a wonderful collection of pictures. And I found a picture of my sister greeting Baba, and my mother and I were standing next to her, so we obviously had our personal greeting with Baba. But my experience with Baba is that my mind goes blank apparently, because I had absolutely no memory of that at all. And also at the first meeting, things that I remembered happening, I found out later didn't happen at all. And I had pictured Baba up on a platform at that first meeting, and that my eyes were like level with his feet. And I remember mentioning that one time, and Darwin heard me say it. He said there was no platform. We met him in Mrs. Deuce's apartment in New York. He said that a lot of people had that perception because you're feeling that you're not worthy to be on the same level, so you should be lower than him. So I guess I always wanted to be one of those people who remember every single minute and could recount it and relive it. But I was one of those people whose mind went blank. But I do have this little treasure that I treasure very much, so I'm going to share with you. People who are entering letters in the archives, somebody very kindly sent me this letter, which again, I had absolutely no remembrance of writing a letter to Baba. I know other people, when they met Baba, immediately started writing letters, started correspondence. I was always, I think I was shy, or I didn't know what to say to Baba or something. So this is the only letter I think that I ever wrote to Baba. But it's rather sweet, so I'm going to read it to you. It's dated September 2nd, 1957, and it would have been the fall of the year I graduated from high school. I would have been 18. Dear Baba, we were just thinking of your visit here last year, and how wonderful it was to see you. I'm so glad that I've had the experience so that I can relive it in my heart and mind whenever I want to see you, which is so often. We are sorry that we won't be able to see you in India, but we will be there in spirit and send our love with those who are going. I'm sending you this note paper with the horse on the front, with a horse on there, because I love horses, and I hope you like this one. There's so much in my heart when I think of you that I couldn't possibly write it all down. So I will simply say that my heart is full of love for you. And I hope that I'll be able to see you again sometime soon. Until then, my spirit remains with you. I love it, Anne. It makes me cry. It was so sweet of somebody to send me that letter. I just treasure it.
Eric must have read that out loud to Baba. Somebody read it out loud to Baba.
Somebody asking me a question I can't hear. I'm sorry. I absolutely can't hear. I couldn't talk about it later.
Yeah.
So every once in a while I pick up my mother's book and I find a poem that I never saw before. So this happened while I was trying to get this organized today. So I'm just going to read you a part of this one. The murmur of the ageless sea is whispering within, but to thee it is the voice of thy beloved. Now let me listen. I hear the voices of a myriad souls sighing for thy love, calling to the ages for you to set them free. This is their prayer. We, dwellers in the sea, cry unto thee, O Lord. We here are bound, facing 1,000 lives of upward toil and struggle, long to be free. Lift us, O Lord, up through the waves, up through the countless forms that are yet before us. Lift us to thee. O happy one, while we are so carefree, millions of souls are burdened with toil. Thousands of hearts are weeping for thy love. Hundreds upon hundreds are calling on thy name, and winds of heaven and ocean waves, and clouds and golden grains of sand lift up their voices in one ardent supplication. We here are bound, cry unto thee, O Lord, facing 1,000 lives of upward toil and struggle. We long to be free. Lift us, O Lord, up through the countless forms that are yet before us. Lift us to thee. And that made me think of that long stream of humanity that I think Ronald Gailey painted a chart. You see a lot of people in a long row that are heading for the seventh plane, and how far we all have come. I mean, we're all here in the body and during this time of manifestation. So I wanted to read you something about manifestation because it's a really important time to be here. And that poem kind of brought it to mind. So that's how I end up. I can find it. He's talking about the manifestation. This is a book by Bao Kauturi that's out of print now, and Bao said he wrote it under direct instruction from Mayor Baba himself. Baba would give him pointers, and then he would write. He did that with a lot of his writing. But I like the way this is explained, and I hope you like it also. The first phase of the Avatar's universal work consists of wiping out the unnatural sanskaras in humanity and the lower evolving form, thereby placing all of evolution on a straight path toward God realization. When he completes this first phase, the Avatar drops his body. The result of the first phase of his work manifests gradually over a period of 100 to 200 years. This phase is of sanskaric annihilation and burning. After the Avatar has dropped his body, the second phase of his work starts. The second phase of the Avatar's work is the distribution of wine, his divine love. The Avatar's workshop opens to all humanity. He first distributes wine freely to those who are already on the straight path toward realizing God and who are extending their hearts to him in acceptance of this wine. This is the phase of intoxication. Avatar Mayor Baba started the second phase of his universal work the day he dropped his physical body. Since January 31st, 1969, he is now distributing wine freely. Those people who did not come into his physical contact or did not see him physically during the first phase of his work while incarnate on earth did not miss anything. Mayor Baba completed the first phase of his inner work for them without their awareness of him or of his presence on earth. The first phase of his work has prepared them to receive his wine and to participate in the second phase of his work. However, if they fail to extend their hearts to him and accept his wine, they will actually miss the real glory of his manifestations, divine intoxication. The light of the Avatar's sun, his effulgence, pours into the three worlds through seven doors. His light pours in the gross world through the opening of the seventh door. When all stages of evolution are moving on a straight path to God realization, and humanity is experiencing the wine of divine love, the consciousness of each level then focuses toward the light of his sun as it pours through the seventh door. When this light is seen everywhere on earth by mankind, the third phase of the Avatar's work begins, and this is his manifestation on earth. In this third phase, humanity experiences the full impact of the Avatar's manifestations consciously. So we are now in the second phase, so that's a good thing to know, since we have Amatithi coming up, and it's such an important time to be here and to know about Baba, so we're all very blessed. I'm going to end with a poem by Mother. I just wanted to have you think about the manifestation because it's so important now with all this going on in the world. We have to kind of remember that Baba's in charge and that the manifestation will cover everything. And we have to go through these difficult times right now. But he has promised us a time of peace and harmony in the future, but it'll probably be way past when we're all gone as well. But we don't know that. We really don't know. This one's called The Golden Chord, and this was put to music by Ron Greenstein. He did a beautiful job with gypsy music. Anyway, I love this one. It's called The Golden Chord. My eyes are blind, my ears are deaf, and nothing do I know. Into the abodes of bliss my spirit cannot go. For I'm chained and bound to earth, nor can I reach the height where my beloved waits for me upon a throne of light. I cannot even touch his feet, so far below am I, and yet I know that he can hear my spirit's yearning cry. For once my Lord looked down at me from those far realms above, and from his heart to mine he sent a golden thread of love. And now I know that earthly bonds can never hold me fast, for love has spun a golden cord to lift me up at last. Jai Baba.
And would you accept a question or two from anybody?
If somebody can interpret it so I can hear it.
Can somebody ask you a question?
Yes, but
With
somebody
it?
will have to.
Oh, cancel.
No, she wants it. She just needs, when the question is said, she needs someone to say.
Oh, because I don't hear either. Would anybody like to ask her a question?
It was a great time.
Oh my God.
The talk was great.
I think I left a lot out.
We'll come back for more.
Thank you, Ann.
Jai Baba.
And Jamie will end it in a minute.
Beloved wife, when she was not well, she liked a lot, and Ann likes it. I know that you have seen your share of sorrow. You stayed strong in spite of everything. I do not know what will come tomorrow. I only know whatever fate may bring, you are not alone when the storm begins. begins to rise, when the tears begin to form in your eyes, when the heartache hits, when the pain persists, remember this: you are not alone. I've seen you take on more than you should carry, and I know sometimes it can be too much to bear. When your burden becomes too heavy, you have someone who will always be there. You are not alone. When the storm begins to rise, when the tears begin to form in your eyes, when the heartache hits, the pain persists, remember this: you are not alone. And when it feels like you cannot go on, just hang on and be strong. You are not alone. When the storm begins to rise, when the tears begin to form in your eyes, when the heartache hits, and the pain persists, remember this: you are not alone. You are not alone. There's a big backstory to this one, which I won't tell you, but it's about Baba's house and the Bible therein that Elizabeth put her little flower in. On the ridge near the lake, where you can hear the waves break as they crash on to that Carolina shore. There's a book on a shelf that moves me like nothing else. Somehow it seems to open up my heart door. Elizabeth's Bible and that house in the pines, they restoreth my soul and bring peace to my mind. Few things on this earth are so truly divine as Elizabeth's Bible and that house in the pines, gently taped to the page, brown and weathered with age, a small flower and a date serve to record how through struggle and strife she had given her life over into the arms of her Lord. Elizabeth's Bible and that house in the pine, they restoreth my soul and bring peace to my mind. Elizabeth's Bible and that house in the pines. Few things on this earth are so truly divine as Elizabeth's Bible and that house in the pines.
As usual, I always end the meeting with 2 words, but before I do, I would like to say thank you, Ann, thank you, Cathy, and thank you, Jamie. And we end the meeting by saying 2 words.
Mayor
Mayor Bob.